It is time for the bubbliest podcast of the world. It's Beer Bubbles! Hi there, everyone. This is the first episode of Beer Bubbles at Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival 2022. This was actually the 30th anniversary of the festival, and we got to meet Canarchy, Television Brewing, Timothy Taylor's, just to mention a few. Make sure to check out our Patreon for extra material and a chance to get some cool merchandise. Now, have a beer and enjoy. And that's the sound of beautiful beer all the way from the US. We're sitting here. This is Beer Bubbles, by the way. I'm sitting here with Rasmus, as always.
Hello.
And we got a good friend of ours all the way from the US, Canarchy. This is Jesse. How you doing?
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
So right, I must say, Canarchy is the best name I've ever heard.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Should we pour some beers?
Let's do it.
Because right in front of us, we got beer from two different breweries, and you're actually representing two different breweries.
That's right. Two independent craft breweries that we decided it was just easier to work together, and we buy hops together and buy cans together, but we keep our independent brands and our independent cultures.
Which one do you want?
Let's start with Dale's Pale Ale.
Yes.
CC's absolute favorite beer.
This is my Desert Island beer.
So this is actually the 20th canniversary of Dale's Pale Ale. 20 years ago this year, we started canning Dale's Pale Ale and changed the beer industry forever.
Yeah, because Oscar Blues was the first, right?
That's right. Yeah, first craft brewery to put beer in cans.
Yeah.
Together with Bowl was the company name of the can.
That's right. Ball does all the can production for us.
Well, cheers.
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 And that was not my can clinging together with those guys. It was their glasses.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Tastes as good as 2 days ago.
I think it actually tastes better because I didn't drink it 2 days ago. Jesse, tell us who you are and how you became what you are and what you do, and do what you do.
For sure. My name is Jesse Kirchhoff, so I'm the International Business Development Manager for Canarchy. Okay. More importantly, that just means I'm a beer geek and I travel all over the place talking about beer. So awesome to be here in Stockholm. So we do work together, Oscar Blues in Colorado and Cigar City Brewing in Tampa, Florida, which is currently getting hit by a Category 5 hurricane, but
shit.
Everybody is okay. We're all evacuated and closed the brewery for the moment. But for me, basically, I can work together with both of these breweries. So I work for the company. The name is Canarchy, but I represent each of these brands when I bring them out here. And so I've been traveling around the world for my whole life. I just absolutely love beer. I'm a certified beer judge. I'm a certified Cicerone. I've done all the training, and I've done brewing and all these wonderful things. But this part of my job, I get to come out and talk to people and get liquid to lips and make sure everybody knows what we're about.
It's a bit like Arlo does with Ska.
Exactly. I'm not as good at kayaking as he is, but...
Go ahead.
No, how did everything start out for you? It's my question. Like, it's you have done a lot of things since beer judging and since roning and...
It's a much busier story than that, but I was living in Japan for 12 years, and you can't really get a good American beer out in Japan. You couldn't at the time when I first moved there in 2005, and I got really interested in homebrewing beer, and I just really wanted to make fantastic hoppy American IPAs. So I started homebrewing in my tiny Japanese kitchen and just got really into beer scene out there, and I started volunteering for all kinds of beer fests and meeting all the breweries, and actually ended up working for a Japanese import company that was importing American beers. So one thing led to another. I got to meet everybody from Stone, Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, Oscar Blues, you name it. And when I was moving back to America with my family and wanted to raise my kids in America, Oscar Blues was happy to pick me up, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's not your first time here in Stockholm.
That's right.
We met before.
That's right. A couple times now. This is my third time post-pandemic, post-COVID, whatever you want to call it. 3 years ago was awesome. 4 years ago, this place was just wall-to-wall people, and I'm sure tomorrow will be the same.
30th anniversary of the Beer and Whiskey Festival, and you're not just here representing Oscar Blues and Cigar City. You actually became a beer judge. You're judging the finals of the best Swedish beers.
The best of the Swedish beers. So the gentleman I was judging with, Jan Erik and Michael and everybody else, they did the hard work and filtered everything out. So I got to taste the 9 gold medal Swedish beers today, and we picked top 3 beers. So we'll see how many medals are handed out today. It was some great beers.
You got your ear to the ground, so to speak, in the U.S. What is happening over there? What is the new trends? Because it normally comes here about 6 months or a year later. What's happening over there?
The major trends right now are lagers, IPAs, and double IPAs. And I know it doesn't sound like a new trend, but I think the lager trend has continued to develop. First, it was just us brewers who wanted to have something for a shift beer, something clean, crisp, nice. And it's really difficult to make a clean lager, as you know. But luckily now it's gotten more and more support. And we just see better and better real classic, fantastic German lagers, but brewed in America, or even now these American lagers that are almost like an American light lager, but they have much more character, craft ingredients, and that trend I think is just going to be around for quite a while.
Because we've seen in Sweden the hazy IPA trend is starting to a little bit, not much, but stop. It's
go down a bit.
Yeah, go down. More of those traditional IPAs, West Coast IPAs are coming back even harder, even though some of them aren't really at the top of that.
Sure.
Where they should be. You see that in America too?
We still have a lot of demand for our hazy IPAs. We thought it was going to be a short-lived trend as well, and we do see a strong, pushback and a renaissance for these classic IPAs and classic pale ales, and people are really coming back to beers like Dale's Pale Ale, so it's fantastic it's still around. But we've still got a lot of demand for hazy IPAs, and we still continue to find ways to innovate. We've got a new beer just coming out this year from Oscar Blues called Hazy Blues IPA, a throwback to when we used to be brewing in a hazy basement with jazz playing live, and it's fun
Lions?
to use these in Lions is where we first started, and now we're brewing this in Longmont in Colorado, and we're continuing to find new ways of, I don't know, our head brewer Tim says milk the hops, just find a way to just really get that last drop of all the hop aromas and hop flavors and manage to retain that within the beer. So that should be coming to Sweden at some point, hopefully.
Nice. Should we try the other one before?
Yeah, of course we should.
And we'll try that one while I'll ask you this last question we have.
So this next beer is called Maduro Brown Ale. Maduro means mature, and it's a type of cigar you would find, but it's very hard to find a good brown ale left in America. Not that brewers don't want to make it, it's just consumers haven't been open to purchasing as much of it.
That is true. This style is, you can't find that often. I know Left Hand's got one called Ellie's Brown Ale.
Yeah,
a bit
fantastic.
in the same style
Avery.
as well.
Yeah, that's a fantastic beer. So this one's actually, technically, it's a brown porter. It's more of a British style, but when you say brown porter to most people, they go a little lost in the eyes. So we call this just a brown ale, but technically it's an English style, English yeast we use for this. It's 5.5%, and we actually add oats to give it this really nice, smooth, silky body.
It goes very well with food.
Oh yeah, we've had
it
actually had it on our limited list at work, and
on tap.
And when it comes to like burgers, grilled meats, whatever, it's an absolute perfect match.
It goes so well. And this one, actually, I think it's our most awarded beer. It might be now. This one, back-to-back gold medals at the Great American Beer Festival, which is no small feat.
Oh, that's nice.
And now we've actually moved from Colorado to Tampa.
Yeah.
So
that's
cheers.
right. Cheers.
And now I'm going to ask you the most difficult question we have. You're about to die right now, in this second. You can have one more beer, whatever you want. What are you having?
I have to go with Dale's Pale Ale. I mean, I know
Thank you!
I know we're drinking it. I know it's right in front of me. And I know I work for the brewery. But even before I worked for the brewery, this beer goes with everything. It goes with every situation. It goes with whatever you're feeling or eating or drinking. It's a desert island beer, and it's a last minute of life beer.
Thank you very much, Jesse.
It's been
great having you on the
pleasure.
podcast.
Thank you so much. I look forward to listening. It's going to be great.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the bubbliest podcast in the world, which you didn't say last time.
No, but it is the bubbliest podcast.
It's the bubbliest podcast in the world. And we are joined by the brewery Roosters. And who are you?
Hi, I am Tom from Roosters Brewery.
Nice to meet you. Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do for Roosters.
So I am, we're a family-owned business based in North Yorkshire in England. I am one of the co-owners. So my role is I am our commercial director. So I handle everything from all of our creative all the way through to our production planning. I'm the ideas guy. I pass things on to the brewers to then make.
You're the one
nice
who's going
beer.
like, yeah, that would be nice, do it.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, I oversee we have an on-site tap room there as well, so I oversee the managers there. And basically, it's almost an easier question to answer. You say, what don't you do? The easy answer is, I don't brew the beer. You're like the
spider with his web.
I don't brew the beer.
And this is not your first time. We talked on the stairs on the way up here.
Yeah.
Not your first time in Stockholm, but first time pouring beers.
First time pouring beers at the festival. I came here as a drinker 6 years ago. Came over with some friends to experience Stockholm for the first time, have a holiday, and came to this festival. Have vague memories of being at this festival. Ending the night in the Oliver Twist, as I recall, and just having a really, really cool time. So, and then this
Probably
is
drinking with yoga, and that's the way you lose your memory.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So me and him, we have an interesting backstory in terms of how we met. So it's always good.
Come on, tell
so,
us.
we were in Portland, Oregon, in the US. I was there to go to the Craft Brewers Conference to go and have some fun as well and go to some seminars. And then the guy that I was with, who's our guy that we work with in London, basically just tapped me on the shoulder one day and said, "We're getting in this car. Some people have organised a brewery tour. They've laid on these 2 cars. All of a sudden, we're invited." So I just got dragged into this taxi and sat next to this guy called Jürgen, and the rest is history.
I used to work for him for 7.5 years up at Oliver Twist. So
nice!
I know
nice,
the way.
yeah.
I know the way he is.
So yeah, we've. I then bumped into him at a beer festival in England 3 years later. And then we kind of said, if we're going to keep meeting at beer events, then we should maybe work together. So the great brands have been bringing our beers in for the last few years. Yeah,
That's really nice.
So what kind of beers do you do? What's your style?
We have something in the glass here as well.
So
thought you
in
should
front of us,
say cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, great to see you guys. So in front of us at the moment we have Strength in Numbers, which is our 7% West Coast IPA. Just launched with System Belager last week.
Oh,
last Friday. Yeah. So
congratulations on that.
Something that again, since meeting Jürgen, and my basic understanding of the Swedish beer market, and since coming here 6 years ago, was something that we were really, really keen to try and develop. So really, really excited that we've got this beer over here. The brewery in general, I mean, we turn 30 years old next year. So Roosters is 30 in 2023. So my family own it now. The founding brewer, way back when, a guy called Sean Franklin, he was the first brewer in the UK to cotton on to these incredible US hops. The likes of Sierra Nevada have been creating Sierra Nevada Pale Ale in the 1980s.
Well, if that's 30 years ago, that was quite early.
Yeah. So Yankee is one of our flagship beers. We do it in can, cask and keg. And it was the first beer in the UK to be brewed using Cascade.
Oh, cool.
So not only did he brew with it first in the UK, our hop supplier wasn't even aware of what was going on, and their focus was English hops. So Sean actually flew to the States, developed relationships with the farmers, and imported hops directly. This is in 1993. So did a really good job of basically, he was a winemaker originally, so he tried to be a winemaker, I should say. He failed his final exam trying to make wine, but he realized in the 80s actually that the similarities between grapes and hops. So when he set Roosters up in 1993, he did it on the basis of, I really want to make balanced beers. I want to accentuate the quality of the hops. So a lot of English beers traditionally would be brown, would be porters, stouts. So even the pale ales were a light brown back in this period. So he decided that low colour malt was a relatively new thing. So if I have this low colour malt that's going to create a really delicate background for the base for the beer, We're lucky in our part of Yorkshire that we have soft water, and then he got a traditional English ale yeast strain that which we still use today. We crop and reuse every week, which is a very neutral yeast. So therefore, let's create this platform and let the hops do the talking.
Okay. Yeah.
So he did that with Yankee, and then the reputation of the brewery kind of is built on that platform, really.
And this is the 30th anniversary of the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival. So 1 year older than your brewery.
Yes.
What do you think of the atmosphere and what's happening here?
I think it's fantastic. I think, I came here. A few years ago, I've been fortunate enough to go to I went to Copenhagen Beer Festival on holiday, and I've been to festivals in other countries in the US. And the reason for mentioning those is when I compare this sort of festival back to what we have in the UK, this is my kind of festival. This is it's all about sampling, experimentation, conversation. Whereas I think what we get wrong at certain events in the UK is it's about volume, and it's about chucking beer
getting
down.
pissed.
Yeah, pretty much chucking beer down your neck and getting pissed. And what I really like about what I've experienced here is it's about flavor, enjoyment, conversation. I think it's
Getting pissed comes afterwards here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural byproduct.
We try it first, and then we go, I like that. I'll have that tonight.
Yeah. It's unavoidable.
We started talking a little bit more about beer trends again, since now after the pandemic we'll see beer moving again a bit more. We've seen in Sweden that, like, for example, the hazy IPAs has been going down a little bit, and more traditional styles of IPAs has been going up. Have you seen those trends in England, or what kind of trends have you having over there now?
I think so. I think definitely, whether it's people paying more focus or more interest in traditional lager styles, or things like there was a big cry, certainly on social media last year, there was lots of people getting excited about best bitters again, and West Coast kind of, with the advent of New England and sub-styles of IPA, West Coast kind of got forgotten about, and now people are going, I miss that. I miss that bitterness. I miss that juicy, chewy kind of.
And the smell, when you get a fresh West Coast style IPA and you smell it and you taste it, and it's dry, and it like hooks you back to have another sip because your mouth goes dry.
Yeah.
And you go like, I'll have a new one, another sip.
I love just how, like if you come back to talking about wine, when Sean was this winemaker, wine is limited to grapes. Beer is just a world of like.
We got 4 ingredients instead of one.
Well, you've got 4 to start with, and then you can dick around and start doing fruit and
even with those 4, you can do so many things. It's
absolutely
like the roasting or the malt. You got different varieties of hops.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to beer, the only thing you can really talk about terroir, as in wines, is hops.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I think there's been a period of, and it's it's not a bad thing, where there's just been this explosion of brewers worldwide, sub-styles of IPA coming out in New England and these kind of things. And I enjoy drinking those beers, don't get me wrong, but then I drink something like a West Coast and I'm like, oh, that's why I got into beer. That's the reason, So I think talking to the guys that I'm here, or the guys I've been speaking to at the festival so far as well, there's been a lot of people who have said, it seems there's this shift back to traditional styles, which is, I definitely think that's starting to happen in the UK as well, and possibly even in the US. I think, it's almost gone full circle where people have gone, we've run out of ideas. Why don't we go back to basics and remember what it should be?
Let's do some proper lagers instead.
Yeah.
Or some proper real ales.
Let's remember it for what it should have been.
Because real ale is on the decline, sadly, in the UK. But I think it's going to come back.
Real ale? Oh, you say it's on the decline?
Yeah, on a hand pump.
Yeah, there's a big kind of campaign or impetus at the moment to really kind of reinvigorate cask beer, real ale in the UK. I'm fortunate enough for 2 reasons that I live in the north of England.
Yeah.
One, because it's the north of England and it's just better than the other parts of England.
Why?
But we do cask beer is just so integral to pubs in the north. It's whether it's because it's a more rural area, so you naturally have country pubs where it's far more traditional or whatever. I don't know.
And you sell your local beer.
Yeah. It's I think I go to London fairly regularly, and I think that sort of area, it's definitely on the decline because there's lots to distract other people within London. Whereas in the north, there's no real reason for it, but I live there. I haven't noticed it being on the decline in the north of England, certainly in Yorkshire, because we love it. I mean, our tap room, we have 8 hamples.
Yeah.
We have 8 keg lines. We have 8 hamples.
Mm.
We sell more cask beer each week than we do keg beer.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
And I think it's we should be incredibly proud of that. I mean, I've been to some of the pubs over here on this trip and previous trips where you have the cask mark. There's been some seriously good work done in presenting what cask beer should be. And in my tiny little experience in life, Sweden's probably second to the UK in terms of like serving cask beer as it should be. You go to the States and try that. I mean, there's a couple of really good breweries who are focusing on it over there, but I love the fact that it's still such a quintessentially English thing, and we really should be protecting it as best we can. I'm not the person who can try and bang the drum to kind of reverse the decline. We can brew good beer, we can make sure it's available for people, but it's something that, it's a weird thing. I'm not experiencing it because I live in a part of the world, a part of the UK that gets it and appreciates it. But I think the headline making places like London, it's definitely a challenge.
I think it's a really fun product to work with. For first of all,
Definitely. We're gonna cut this short. Sorry.
yeah,
Sure. That's fine.
We're doing short interviews.
Yeah.
We could go on for a day here. But I'm gonna ask you the final question, which is the hardest question you could put to anyone who likes beer. You're gonna die, and you can get one more beer, whatever beer you want in the entire world, but you can get one.
You say this is the hardest question. This is the easiest question I've ever been asked.
Oh, nice.
I get asked this question quite a lot, and the easy answer for me is Odell IPA.
Okay,
That
yeah.
beer changed my life in terms of my perception of what quality beer is in terms of IPA. I was working in a bottle shop, and we used to stock various beers, and the first time I grabbed an Odell IPA that we had over
And Doug is also a really nice guy.
and become a really good friend of ours, actually. I'm a fanboy of Odell massively, so that's why it's an easy question to answer for
I
me.
actually
but
almost shot him in the head with a beer cork
don't do that.
a couple of years back over here at the festival. I had these beers from Shock. Can't remember where in the US they're located, but they bring up like old beer styles, and they were the ones who started with Gose and made it popular again.
Sure.
And I stood there with their double, and I noticed the pressure in that one was extreme. So I stood at one end of the bar and tried to hit a bin at the other end of the bar, and there was Doug, and he got it on his shoulder, and he was like, "What the?" And I'm like, "Sorry," and that was my first meeting with Doug.
Well, thankfully it wasn't anyone's last meeting with Doug.
All right.
Yeah, well, I've just got a huge respect for that brewery, going back to way before I was ever involved with Roosters, and we've been fortunate enough that Doug's come and collaborated with us a few times. Made friends with people at their brewery. I'm fortunate enough to go over to Fort Collins and drink their beers. So Odell IPA all the way.
Nice tap room as well.
Oh, incredible!
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Tom, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
it's
you.
been a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having me. Yeah.
And have a great festival.
You two guys.
Cheers.
Sounds like you already are.
Yeah, we are.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Beer Bubbles, the bubbliest podcast in the world. And we're sitting here with Mickey Göransson, competition master, beer and food blogger, man with
YouTuber. That's why I recognize you. That's why I recognize you. No.
The man who knows sous vide like no one else in the world. I always watch your recipes on sous vide. By the
Sous
way.
vide and air fryer. That's my thing.
You did some cooking things on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. That's the reason.
Alltid hungrig. Always hungry.
Oh,
Always
yes. Always hungry.
Mickey Göransson, you're kind of a name in the business, I must say.
I mean, a sub name. I'm not like the only beer. I mean, I do beer, but I do so much else. I try to be. I don't try to be top dog in any business. I try
But
to
you know everything.
I want to be a jacks of all trade.
The Joker.
Who are you? What's your background? Why the hell are you here?
Okay, so basically, I started off as a chef. Worked as a chef for like 13 years. Started to realize that food and wine was a thing. So I went on a sommelier. I took a sommelier education or sommelier diploma because I wanted to do not the work that a sommelier does, but I want to understand how a sommelier thinks when I do the cooking. And then I realized that, I mean, sommelier is a lot of beer. I mean, a lot of wine, but not so much beer. So I had the opportunity to go into the beer scene as a sommelier, as a judge in this competition that I now organize. So the guy that did this before took me in as a regular judge. But I realized that when I did my first judging, I think I thought too much in a wine perspective, and I have realized afterwards that it's not always good to only think wine when you're tasting beer, because it's not different, but you have to think in another way when you're judging.
Kind of in a different dimension.
Yeah, exactly. And when you drink wine and think wine, you can actually think that some flaws in beer is pretty good because it's a nice taste in wine. So I didn't have that when I started, and I learned the hard way of trying a lot of beers and understanding that some of these flavors shouldn't be there. So yeah.
But this is the 30th anniversary of the Beer and Whiskey Festival. What do you think of it so far?
It's pretty nice. I mean, it's always a little bit more quiet the first Thursday because it's press and it's basically the enthusiasts that want to just grab the first talks to with the brewers and the exhibitors,
Like us.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want to like fight with the other crowd to get the best beers. So it's always best to go here the first Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, it's a little bit more party feeling.
Right.
But how many years have you been doing this now?
I've been here since 2009, I think. I think the first time I went, I did my first judging was 2009.
That's 12 years ago, man.
It is. Damn, I'm getting old.
You did it for a long time. So, as a beer judge, then you kind of follow beer trends, I guess.
Well,
see what's happening and
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
how do you? We have asked this question two times now, and we haven't done it for a while because beer was going pretty slow there for a while. But how do you see the beer trends evolving now after the pandemic with, for example, IPAs and traditional lagers?
Well, I would say that if I just take the numbers of the competing beers, the IPA trend is still strong, but there was a lot of low ABV beers. And I don't know if that was something that happened during the pandemic, that they started doing, the breweries started doing a lot of good low ABV beers because they could sell it in regular stores. And I don't know. I mean, of course, people went to this to the Systembolaget, but still, the accessibility to good beer in regular stores with a lower ABV. And I realized that the trend is good because the brewers have become really good at these kinds of beer with the lower ABV.
Lots of flavors, lower ABV.
Exactly. And
But when you say IPA is still a strong trend, it's not a trend.
no, it's not a trend.
It's the new Storstark.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone, like when people come into the bar, there's actually more people now. Well, we work in a beer-oriented bar, so there's more people asking for different kinds of IPAs than different kinds of lagers.
Yeah. So
true,
I
that's
mean,
true.
Or
the thing-
Storstark.
and I think the beer geeks basically go forward to drinking some IPAs, but then they go for the real good lagers instead. And the regular customer, they want IPAs. So the trend has flipped. So the regulars want IPAs, and the beer geeks that formerly wanted all the really cool IPAs want good lagers now. Something like that.
Or old style
Exactly.
British ales.
British and even old style IPAs like English IPAs and stuff like that.
Well, we're cutting this short, these interviews. So the last question, the toughest one we have.
Okay.
You're about to die right now,
Okay.
so you can have one more beer, whatever you want. What are you having?
Only one.
I don't know if you're gonna think I'm boring, but a beer that always suits my heart and suits my soul and suits my palate. It's an unfiltered, unpasteurized Pilsner Urquell from the barrel in their basement.
That's not boring at all.
That's just up our alley, for God's sake, man.
I think no one's going to question you on that one.
No. We'll take that to the bank any day of the week. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Mika, it's been a pleasure having you in the podcast. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure to be on the podcast. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a nice
Cheers,
day.
Bye. Thanks.
Hello guys, welcome back to Beer Bubbles. We're still here at Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival, the 30th anniversary. It's 30 long years of this one going. Cici still here, and Christian Åhman is here.
Yeah, thank you.
And who are you?
I'm the responsible for the brewing education in Sweden from the small city in Dalarna called Ludvika. Ludvika. Yes.
Well, you have to have a background.
The background.
How the hell did you end up being doing what you do?
How the hell? Yes, I started working in Pripps Brewery in 1983 after a bad handball career, and I started working with the brewery. And I work with breweries since 1983. In Sweden and abroad, formerly in Russia. I worked with lots of breweries in Russia, and I also worked with breweries in Sweden. And then I have the opportunity to be leader for the education in Ludvika in Sweden.
He's the headmaster. Just
The headmaster.
Headmaster.
the Dumbledore of brewery.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
But that was back then. When did the Ludvika education program start?
It started in 2005, and I was an educator from the beginning, and from 2014 I was responsible for the education. And then I have worked with us since 2014.
I've got to ask you, because you've seen, as you said, this business from 83 and forward.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference?
Can't see some big difference. You mean for the person who started at your education?
I mean for the beer business in all.
The beer business, yeah, it changed very lot from big breweries to this, what you call it, hantverksbryggeri.
Craft breweries.
Yes. And from the beginning it was just big breweries in Sweden, and now there are 486 craft brewers in Sweden.
That's just
and
amazing.
It's a very big difference, and it's a very nice thing to be a part of this
the explosion
of these craft breweries. Yes, exactly.
And it's the 30th anniversary of the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival.
Yeah, I've been here for around 10 years every year.
What do you think of this year?
Yeah, it's very good, very good. It's one of the things in my calendar I will just put in. And Marianne, drives this Stockholm Brewing. She says this is she thinks this is the part of the education to students to have to visit the Stockholm Brewing.
Stockholm Beer Festival.
Stockholm Beer
Brewing.
Festival.
Yeah.
Yes,
You brought
yes.
2 today, right?
What?
You brought 2 with you today?
No.
Students?
We have around 10 of the students
10,
here.
okay.
10 of the students are here.
We're going to meet one of the students later on, Sophia.
Yeah.
You work with beers, you work with educational stuff, but you have to put your ear to the ground and listen to what happens as well. So what do you think about the beer trends now? What's happening and what's not?
It's lots of different flavors in beers, and now new sorts of beers that was realized for 10 years ago, and it's a very big difference.
So lots of experimentation. And
Yeah. Some of the students do brewing with this pine
cones and
pine corns and everything. Yes. It's very different. Very different from the beginning.
Should I ask the last question?
You should ask the last question.
The hardest one?
Yes.
You're about to die now, Christian. But you can have one more beer before you die. What are you having?
I think I will have this. I don't remember the name now, but it's. I think I would say Carnegie Porter.
Canadian
Oh, yeah,
Porter.
Can I
because,
get Porter?
because you're from Gothenburg.
Yeah, I'm
that's
from
why.
Gothenburg. Yeah, I love Gothenburg and everything like around Gothenburg.
Maybe a matured Carnegie Porter, aged for a few years and like.
Yeah.
do you want a fresh one?
I have Porter from 1995, and it's very good, very good.
Christian, thank you very much for
Yeah.
participating in the podcast.
Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful, and you have a great festival.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
and,
you, thank you.
And cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the bubbliest podcast in the world. We're still here at Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival, the 30th year's anniversary.
Yeah, perfect.
And Cece's here.
I'm here.
And we're sitting here with someone special from for me, a new brewery. It's not that old, right? From Television Brewery
In
So-
Bromma in Stockholm.
in Stockholm. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you. My name is Fredrik Stadin, and I've been brewing since I was 17, I think. And last
And you're now 19.
last couple of years, I've been building up my brewery called Television Brewing, and that's all. That is my hobby. But now the hobby is going to turn over to something else.
It's going to
That's
be
nice.
a profession.
Yeah, I hope so.
Should you introduce your beer as well?
Yeah, all right. I have here a West Coast IPA called West Coast Showdown. It's a tribute to the classic West Coast style, which I fell in love with really when I starting to enjoy craft beer.
And this is a style that you see coming back.
Yeah, I think so. I think that this is a style that's coming back. I hope that it does that. But really, I have made it just because I have wanted to do this for a really long time.
The smell is phenomenal. I'll tell you.
And it
Guys.
premiered at Systembolaget next month, you said?
Yeah, in November it's going to be in Systembolaget.
So, what's your background? Besides brewing since you were 17, you're not 19 now. You're
Yeah.
a bit older than
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, now I'm a producer. I have a production company called Nordisk Drama and Documentary, and that's my profession. I'm doing documentaries and musical shows and so on, lots for Swedish television. But each year I made more beer and it went more professional for each year. And last year I went from my I had 150 liters brewery in my basement in the house, and last year I bought 1 hectoliter brewery and put it in the old brew house of Prips. So
Yeah.
it's a classic turf.
Yeah, Prips. For those who don't know what Prips is one of the big, actually the old government-owned brewery that bought up all the breweries in Sweden, basically,
Yeah.
before the boom of new crop brewers.
And the building is really magic. I mean, it's so cool, and I believe it like it's the Swedish answer of Bronx or Brooklyn, because it's so cool with the bricks in the walls and so on. And so I really love to be there, just being in the building, and brew there is really, really great.
And television brewing comes from you working loads with television. Of
Yeah,
course.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you see the brewery is you're going up now. That's what you're saying, or?
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I would like to maybe do some crossovers. I can maybe do some documentaries, going out, meet other brewers.
We're there. We can help you out.
can
No
help you
worries.
So this is the 30th anniversary of Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival. What do you think about it so far?
This is the first time for me as an exhibitor, and it has been really an enjoy just this afternoon, because people are really, really kind and saying kind things about the beer, and they are very friendly. I think it's very nervous to meet people in the face when they are going to taste the beer because. Yeah, it's. I mean, I've been.
Well, it's your baby.
Yeah, I put in lots of work in it, and I really hope that people like it like me because I'm brewing the beer that I really like to drink myself.
I think that is kind of key for a good brewery. If the brewer don't believe in what he's making, he can never make a good beer. And to have this love for your own product, it's kind of a Damocles sword hanging over you because when you get bad feedback, it really hurts. When you get good feedback, it really lifts you up like crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And everybody can't like everything. So
No, of course not.
That's
Of
just
course
something.
not.
But I do like this one. This is really nice. The West Coast IPA.
It's dry and crisp. It's beautiful. And it is like when I started drinking IPAs back in like the late 90s, when we got like the American beers over and first time you got them really fresh and really crispy. It's that style. You work with beer now. What do you think is the new trend when it comes to brewing?
Actually, I'm not really sure about that. I mean, the West Coast styles, the clean style, I've seen that lots of other people doing that also. So I think, yeah, that might be a movement, but I'm not sure what's happening in the business.
Well, if we knew we'd all be millionaires, we'd only be making those beers, wouldn't we?
Yeah. It goes up and down.
Yeah, well, but the style of your brewery, is this what you do, or is it a mixed bag of different stuff?
Yeah, actually, I mean, what I'm doing is I work with things that gives me lust and what I like and I bring stuff around me what I like and so on. And this is also things that I do. I mean, I like this beer, but I also think that it's very important to be free and do what you want to do. I like street art because that's the way to take over the city without money. You can put up your what you want to say with no cost. I like that because I think we are. It's difficult to fight all these things that you have to do and also. So I believe that if you drink a television brewing beer, you're going to have that feeling to be free. You can do what you want.
That's the thought behind you what you're doing.
Yeah.
To have your own little anarchy seeping into the society.
Yeah, it's important to don't listen to authorities. You have to listen to your own voice, because otherwise people crush you. You have to stand up for your rights.
You gotta fight.
Yeah, exactly.
For your rights.
Yeah, but if you do what you feel inside, you also are happy, and you can work a lot. You can do a lot of things. I mean, I work a lot, but I have fun also.
But you have a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Should I ask the most devastating question
Yes,
we have?
the deadly
tonight?
one.
The deadly one. It's the last question. You're sadly going to die right now.
Okay.
And you can have one last beer, whichever beer you want.
What would it be?
My last beer. I think it would be West Coast Showdown.
Well, you love your own beer, and that's
Yeah.
perfect
That's
choice.
perfect. Yeah. Fredrik, it's been absolutely fantastic having you in the podcast. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Look forward to tapping your beers at Akrat soon. Again.
Yeah, and we will see more of each other. I'm sure of it, because we really like your beers.
We do.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna come back down to your monter down there, your stand down there, and we're gonna try the rest of your beers as well, because
All right.
this is
Definitely.
awesome. I think you're onto something.
Thank
Onto
you very
something
much.
really good.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, happy to see you down the mountain. Okay.
Thank you.
you.
Cheers.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the bubbliest podcast in the world. We think so anyhow. Rasmus and me, we're sitting here.
Hello.
And we are talking to Tim Dewey, who, well, in my opinion, Timmy Taylor's Landlord is kind of the beer.
It's the archetypal cask ale, I
No,
would
come
say.
on!
yeah.
This is one of my heroes. One of the beers that got me into drinking proper beer.
Yeah.
I can say that I'm proper depressed because I found that your website has a shirt that says "Make mine a landlord,"
Yeah.
and you can't get it to Sweden.
Oh, I think I might be able to find a way of getting it over to you guys.
Oh, I would love that.
I've tried to buy it, but I can't. I can't get around your website.
Got you glass
only
there as
Sweden.
well. Tim, I'm going to be totally frank. You were on your way out of here because you're here with your wife in Stockholm.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the first business trip I've ever had, and I've been traveling internationally for years. I worked in the spirits industry. In fact, I looked after Sweden for Smirnoff Vodka when I was a regional director for Smirnoff Vodka. It's the first business trip I've ever brought her on, and somehow the schedules worked out a bit odd, and so I've basically abandoned her. But anyway.
So we're not going to keep you for too long.
Yeah, don't
but
worry.
Tell us who you are and what you do at Timothy Taylor's.
Yeah. So, as I say, my name's Tim Dewey. I'm the chief executive of Timothy Taylor's, and I suppose my claim to fame, if there were one, is that I'm the first non-family member to run the brewery. So, for 3 generations, it was run by Taylors. Then the last Taylor had 2 daughters, and a chap named Charles Dent married one of the daughters. So he, I suppose, strictly wasn't a Taylor, but he'd married into the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then I followed on from Charles, and fortunately, I'm still married to my wife, and I haven't married a Taylor yet.
Well, you're probably the second Tim.
That's right. That's absolutely true.
What's your background? How did you end up in this?
So first of all, what brought me to Europe? You can tell I have an American accent. I studied over in the UK at Oxford University in 1978-79, showing my age. And believe it or not, I met my wife on a train on the way to Wales. She's Welsh. And we got to know each other that year, dated transatlantically, eventually got married, lived in the States, but she was very close to her parents and said, look, I'd like to live in the UK. And I thought, look, I enjoyed my time in the UK, let's do it. And my main background is actually in the spirits industry, as I mentioned before. And it did make me wonder why Taylor's hired this guy whose background was largely in spirits. But when you get involved with Taylor's, you find that the reason the breweries existed for so long, and founded in 1858, is we like to zig while others zag. And some people in the beer industry probably haven't looked after the industry as well as others. And Taylor's likes to be very ruthless on certain things. And I think my premium spirits background really fit with the ethos of the company, which was why they brought me into the business.
And you and me talked a bit earlier today about cask ales and how they are progressing in the UK. And that's quite a depressing thing to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the figure I shared with you is I joined Taylor's in December 2014. And if you look at the figures now, the cask ale market is 35% lower. So there's a bit of a COVID impact on that. But the way to think of it is we've lost 1 in every 3 pints of cask ale from the market.
But you haven't.
No. And so the figure I also shared with you is if you go back to 2014, Timothy Taylor's accounted for 1 in 50 pints of cask ale served in the UK. We now account for 1 in every 20 pints of cask ale.
So you've probably lost nothing really.
Oh no, we've grown, but we haven't grown as dramatically as the share the share increase from say 2% to 5% would say we've grown by 2.5 times. Well, no, because some of that growth, some of the share growth is a result of the market getting smaller, and some is us growing. It's been the combination of the two.
I had delivery day. We had delivery day today, and I took 4 landlords, 4 bolt makers, and 2 Knoll Springs today.
Oh, very
He's
good.
been carrying beers today.
Yeah.
I've been drinking beers instead. The delegation, it's called.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a landlord in front of us, so
Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. No.
It is just as lovely as it should be. It is actually better down at your stand when you get the proper cask
the
version.
cask.
But yeah.
To be honest, the way our head brewer likes to put it, because the cask landlord, I would say, is a superior product to the bottle. But he gets upset at that because, the fact of the matter is that is one of the top 10 selling bottled ales in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And so Andy Leman, our head brewer, the way he puts it, he said, I like to think of them as two products. One is Landlord the Cask Ale, which obviously is a fantastic cask ale. The other is Landlord the bottled product, and by definition, it's going to be different to the cask ale because it doesn't undergo the secondary fermentation in the cask, which is why, for those that are really pay attention to detail, you notice that the bottled Landlord is 4.1% ABV, or alcohol by volume, and the cask is 4.3, because our fermentation actually creates another 0.2 degree of alcohol in the cask after it's left the brewery.
The good thing about a bottle is that you can actually take it home.
No, absolutely. and also it has a year shelf life.
Yeah.
Where again, not everyone's aware that with cask beer, from when we produce it, you're talking 8 to 10 weeks. But even more critically, once an outlet, a pub or bar, starts to serve from that cask, not so much tap it, but starts to draw the beer off, you're talking really 3 days that they need to sell through that because there's no pressure to stop oxygen getting into that beer. Very different to a keg beer.
Beer oxidizes because, it oxidizes slower because it's still fermenting.
Yeah.
But it still oxidizes quite fast, and the keg is open. So.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's the fact that the keg is open, and also as you pull the beer out, there's more room for the air.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but does it make a difference when you have it in a good temperature, and also we seal it every night with the hard pegs?
Yeah.
Does that make a difference? Or
it helps, but you should still really get through it within that 3. Maybe if you're pushing it forward.
We've never had a
that.
Landlord or a bolt maker standing longer than 3 days.
I think the Nose Springs went in like a day last time.
I met a gentleman today who, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but he said the first time he got Landlord into his outlet, he said it went in 2 hours, so he didn't have to worry about the 3-day issue.
Yeah, it does happen here. The cask ale geeks in Sweden are really...
Yeah,
well, there's not that many places that do serve proper cask ales.
Yeah.
And Akkurat was the second one outside of the UK to get the cask mark just after Oliver Twist, where he used to work then. 15 minutes. But it is also, when you look at cask ales, do look at the places that has the cask mark, because they know how to treat the beer.
Yeah. And interestingly, on that point, we've picked up a lot of new distribution points in the UK, and actually this year the orientation of our sales force has changed. All our sales force are cask mark trained and full cellar trained, and their orientation is, okay, yes, if there's a good count, let's bring it on, but let's focus on all those accounts we've gained as we've grown and make sure they're all really selling it at optimum quality. And so we've started a big quality initiative with the sales force where they're measured as much on whether they're going into outlets, tasting the beer, helping the landlord with issues the landlord might be having, or landlady for that matter. So that's been a big change for us this coming year.
Thanks for that. I'll tell you, it's like, because cask ale needs all the help it can get.
Yeah.
And to serve bad cask ales is getting people to try it once and never try it again.
Yeah, no, that's the concern. And look, I've had bad experiences with the cask ale, and I always think to myself, I'm in the industry, and sometimes I have a bad experience, and I'm in my own time, and the next time I'm in that outlet, I'm thinking, well, it's my, I just want a beer sometimes, and I think that's an awful situation for cask to get itself into. So that's where the focus of the industry really needs to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the 30th anniversary of the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival. First time for you here.
Yeah.
But you're standing with some good guys in your monter down there. It's like you got Thornbridge.
Yeah.
And you got Rodgate. You're right in the same monter as you.
No, absolutely. And I mean, the great thing, I said I came out of the spirits industry, but what I would say I found in spirits also holds true with brewing, which I love, which is there's a real collegiate atmosphere. The fact of the matter is some of those, we are competing against each other, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, but it doesn't really get in the way of getting on when you're together and that kind of collegiate aspect. And that was also true, I found, in like the Scotch whiskey industry, where distillers depend on other distillers for their blended whiskies, etc. So
of course.
I feel I've been lucky in the industries I've chosen or that have chosen me.
Yeah.
It's friendly people all around.
It's why we love this business. It's friendly and it's for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should talk about trends when we're talking
No.
with Timmy Taylor's.
We shouldn't do that. So,
Because Timmy Taylor is a trend in itself, and it's a non-ending trend,
and since
at least in my book.
And since his wife is alone, we're gonna ask him the most difficult question we have. Do you want to do the honors?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry, Tim, but you're going to die today, and you can have one more beer before you go. What would it be?
Well,
anything in the world, but what would it be?
Well, I'm sorry. One more beer would have to be Landlord. And, you know, that may sound obvious. Let me tell you, I didn't know about Timothy Taylor's before I joined, and I quite like my wine. And the reason I would choose Landlord is I love Burgundy wine. And I refer to Landlord to like friends, you know, who aren't in the industry. I say to them, look, in my view, it's the Burgundy of the cask ale market.
So
it's got that richness, the fullness, you know, that a Burgundy wine has.
But still crisp and to the point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that answer. This shirt would have gone well here now. Make mine a Landlord.
No, look, you know, you should have. I said to Jeremy, I could have brought one over in my bag, you know.
You know what? We'll speak to Jeremy. We'll make sure he gets us one each.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sure I might have
spent like half an hour on the
tricks up my
website.
sleeve to get something across to Sweden.
Tim,
thank you very much.
Fantastic to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much.
No, well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure, really.
It's been a pleasure for us as well.
Have a great stay in Stockholm with your wife.
Great.
Yes.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beer Bubbles, the bubbliest podcast in the world. I'm sitting here with Rasmus.
Yay.
As per usual, this is Cici and Sophia.
Hello.
Hello.
So
you are kind of new to the business.
Yes.
Really, really fresh.
Really fresh.
You're still studying?
Yes. I've just brewed one beer.
Okay. Well, we had Christian on earlier, Christian Åman from Ludvika, and you're studying at Ludvika as a brewery technician.
Yes, exactly.
How long have you studied so far?
We've been studying for 2 months, so it's just 2 different courses so far.
And you are, I know this because I spoke to Christian a bit, you're doing your like practice work at Rådanäs.
Yes, exactly.
In Gothenburg.
Nice.
Where we haven't been, but I've been.
Yeah, we haven't been. We were supposed to go, but we didn't.
It's a big craftsmanship brewery.
Yeah. And it's also located in one of the coolest buildings in
Isn't
Sweden.
that the place with the pool?
Yeah, pool on the rooftop.
No, not the pool.
Well,
it's a helicopter hangar.
Well, it's an old helicopter hangar, but they got the pool upstairs with a roof that opens up.
No, it's still like in the bottom of the helicopter hangar, and then beneath that's the brewery. So behind the bar where the pool is, it's like a bar area with a pool, and behind that there's like a lift,
and then you go down to
the brewery.
Absolutely awesome.
Well, we would have known if we'd been there, but we haven't.
Sophia, tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up doing what you do.
Well, I'm 31 years old. I'm from Landvetter, so close to Mölnlycke, where Rådanäs is. And I've always wanted to work with something that is a craftsmanship. So I crashed and I didn't work for 5 years because I lost my memory and everything like that. And I was like, I need to do something because I'm a big nerd. I need to do something where I can just like zone into and try and learn everything about, and this felt so right. And I found Rådanäs, which we had like a lot of stories about when I grew up in Landvetter, because we saw it on the other side of the lake.
Yeah, because there was a millionaire who bought the plot, built the house, helicopter pad, everything cool.
We called it the Crazy Inventor Helicopter Hangar House. So I was like, I need to go there someday.
I have to ask you,
Yeah.
what's your favorite beer style?
That's a very, very, very hard question, because before I started this education, I would have said lager, because it's easy to drink, it's like not much flavor, and I really, really hated IPA. Like, I thought that it was too bitter. Everyone that I tasted, it was too bitter. And now when I start the education, I really, really like IPA. Because...
Usually what happens.
yeah. When you're dry hopping and you get like
The fruitiness and
yes.
so you're a haze crazy.
Yes, I like flavor. I don't just like bitterness, I like flavor. I didn't know about it until I started studying it, like what the different flavors comes from. So it's not until now that I was like, I like the flavor. It's not the bitterness. I like the experience.
But it's kind of cool also, since you're doing this, you also know why you get bitterness from different kinds of brewings. Well, if you add hops early, you get more bitterness. If you add hops late, you get more aromas. So it's, to you, that must be kind of cool to know where the flavors come from that you like.
Yes. And my boyfriend that I'm living with, he's usually the one that goes to Systembolaget where you buy the beer. And he gets like different kinds of beer that we never tried before. And he gets them and we take half and half. So we try it at the same time. And then I always ask him like, what do you taste? And he's like, it's a good beer.
30th anniversary of the Stockholm Beer and Whiskey Festival.
Yes.
How many times have you been here?
This is the first time.
First time?
Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think?
I like it, and I was talking to Christian Åhman earlier, and he said that there's a lot of less like breweries in here, but I like it because you can walk around and look what you really want and try it out, and everyone is so friendly.
And it's all craft beers. There's
Yes.
none of the big ones here. It's only the craft beer brewers here.
Exactly, and they really know the different flavors of the beer. So I've been walking up there and I was like, I don't want one of the ordinary beers because I'm here to try experimental beers. So I'm like, something that people ordinary doesn't order in a bar. That's what I've been asking for, and I've been getting it the whole day, and it taught me so much about flavors.
And it also depends on what kind of bar you go to. Like,
Yes.
there are like most bars have the same assortment,
Yes.
and it's the macro country we live in that has that. But we need to support the bars that doesn't have that, like free
The
houses,
microbreweries.
the microbreweries, craft brewers,
Yeah.
and but also the free houses, the bars that actually tries to take in this to not have macro beers on tap.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you have the honors.
Oh, I'm gonna have
This
honors for the hardest question we're gonna ask
no.
today.
The one, I told her we were going to have a hard question.
Yeah.
She's like, could you prepare me? And I said, nope.
Nope. This is the time out of the
Okay,
blue.
I'm scared.
You're going to die right now.
Okay, let me have a sip of the beer first.
But you can have one last beer before you die. Not that one you drink. You can have one last beer before you die. What are you having?
Is that the question?
Yeah.
One beer before you die, what should you have?
Oh, that's a really hard question.
Oh,
We know.
yes.
I would say something that I never drink because it's too filling. I get full after like one sip. So I would say Guinness.
Okay, well.
Because I like the taste, but I get full after one sip. So I won't drink it until the day I will die. And it's the last, like the last beer. And I'm like, okay, I'm full. You can kill me now.
Sophia, thank you very much for participating in the podcast.
Thank
and
you.
have a great festival.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Cheers. Well, that's it for this time. The second episode will be released next Friday. Extra film and footage is also available at our Patreon. Supporting us there also gives you the chance to lay your hands on some cool merchandise. Thanks to our sponsors, Bishop Arms, Elite Hotels, and Accurat for making this podcast a reality. And hey, whatever you do, drink better beer. It is time for the bubbliest podcast of the world. It's Beer Bubbles!